Brian, who has spoken with us before, he has seen the Z platform grow from OS 390 to today's current ZOS. He has a passion for mainframe analytics and is a frequent speaker at industry events. And don't let his accent fool you, he is actually based in Florida. And Caroline is new to our stage, but she comes to us with more than 30 years of experience in marketing communications for some of the largest IT software vendors out there. Think Lotus, Oracle, Adobe, BMC Software. So at Zetali, she is executing the marketing and communication strategy and its vision through dedicated programs to support the new evolution of the mainframe. So with that, I want to welcome you both. And thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much for the warm introduction on behalf of both Caroline and myself. Hopefully everybody can see the slides and you can hear me clearly. Fuzzy about the picture, but I'm sure you can live with that. Anyway, let me introduce Caroline. Caroline, would you like to say something? And if the comment
I'm very pleased to be there. And hello, everybody. I'm talking from Paris in France. And you will see I've got the wonderful accent, French accent.
Lovely, lovely. All right, let's kick off. We're running just a little bit late, so we'll see what we can do about making up the time. I always like to start these sessions by saying, why are we doing this? Why are we talking about the best strategies for your future mainframe workload? Well, it's really simple. The mainframe is changing dramatically. So everybody at Zetali over the last X number of years have been monitoring this very closely, and we've come up with a set of solutions and some of the issues with the mainframe and why it needs to be focused very, very closely. So I'm going to talk about that with Caroline. Caroline and I will interact during the presentation. All right. So for those of you that don't know Zetali, we're a French ISV based in a place called Nantes, which is about 2.5 hours southwest of France. Although, as was said, I'm actually based here in the US. We really first started focusing on IBM licensing, cost control, and getting the best value out of MLC, IBM MLC, which most mainframe shops are on some form or another. As you know, there's lots of flavors of it, but we'll talk about that a little bit better. The company is growing, lots of employees in France and the USA. Growth is expected. Another good year this year we expect. And one of the things we are really pleased about and proud about is we don't lose customers. They stay with us because of the service and support. Where we don't have a direct office, and they're primarily just in the US or North America, should I say, and in France, we have business partners and resellers. So let's talk about some of the challenges that are out there for the mainframe. Over the years, the mainframe has been, hey, it's an island, it's a silo. Getting data in, getting data out has always been a challenge. So it's lack of agility. My son works in an agile environment and he can make changes and test them and put them in production in a couple of hours. Try doing that on a mainframe. It just doesn't happen. Number of reasons for that. And that's also some of the reasons why the mainframe has become such a secure and robust product. However, if the mainframe is going to become part of a major part, and it is already more so, of the business toolkit, it's got to be more agile. And that has started to happen with integration, primarily through things like APIs, whether they're open source or they're RESTful APIs. Even so, that is also making it much more attractive. So data can go to and from mainframes a lot easier. And the last bullet there, the incompatibility with the Intel platform, that is starting to go away as well. There's ways and means to do that. So the mainframe is lack of agility. No, it is becoming much more controlled, much more agile, should I say. Loss of control. We all know that the grey-haired and the no-hair brigade are retiring. But what we're seeing over the marketplace is a lot of products that are coming out into the marketplace, especially mainframe products. It's all about the dashboards. They're much easier to understand. So you don't need a wealth of mainframe experience to understand the data. Hence, business units, executives, etc. Lots of different parts of the organization are starting to use the mainframe and read the data. High TCO costs. There's always been a perception, and the old saying, perception's reality, about the expense of the mainframe. But there are some statistics around that say there's probably 80% of the IT data in a mainframe shop touches the mainframe. But the cost of the mainframe and the infrastructure is a lot less. It's less than 10%. One of the areas of complexity here that does need to be mastered are the billing models. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that. IBM have done a fabulous job. They introduced IBM MLC pricing, lots of different licenses, and over the years they've released new ones, CMP, mobile, obviously AWLC's out there, and most companies still have a form of that. The latest flavor was tailored fit pricing, TFP. That came out in, I think it was 2017. There were 3 flavors initially, then it went to 2, and now there are 5. Considering the changes in workload, considering the, sorry, my other laptop was banging, the new mainframes that IBM are releasing, the Z16 is due out in the end of this month, I believe. It was announced last month. So you've got changes in workload, you've got new billing models, you've got new mainframes. So what is the best mainframe for you? What's the best billing model for you as well? And these need to be looked at very carefully, especially with your capacity planning. So that's something that we do need to talk about. And if there's one thing that's come out of COVID that was good, was the digitalization. Companies have just gone off in leaps and bounds in digitalizing their IT infrastructure. So, you go anywhere now, everything you buy, everything you do is some form of digitalization. Mainframes are critical for many customers, many companies. I'd love to see what the latest one of this report is. It's a couple of years old, but you can see yourself, and those that have attended my presentations before, they've seen me present this before. Came from IBM, lots of really good, solid information here about the use of the mainframe. So what are the strategies in the new mainframe area? I touched on contractual and licensing options. That is something that really does need to be focused on. Get the right license for the right environment, especially with your new hardware that companies are starting to look at. The portfolio, the mainframe is now not just mainframe software. Does it include non-Z software as well? So again, make sure that you get, everything that you've got. There's no duplication, and it's the best thing for you. And especially with some of your larger vendors, some of the numbers of products that are out there, I'm sure you know who you are, that some of them will have, and I'll pick on IBM again, you'll have lots and lots of IBM products. So your software portfolio has got to be optimized. Capacity planning. There's all of this change going on in the mainframe arena, and it's primarily because of things like digitalization. The mainframe is now becoming part of, it's just the Z server. It's just another server for the business. So again, when you make changes, you've got to make sure they are right for you, including, as I said, licenses, the right mainframe, what happens when you make a change. Rehosting and replatform. I always talk about these together for the simple reason companies are, a lot of companies are being outsourced. The last numbers I saw on these in the US here, there are something like about 10,000 companies using Z, but most of those, probably 80%, are outsourced. There may be less now, probably not more, but there may be, that's the numbers I work on. But a lot of companies, they try to take some of the mainframe applications off, then they get stuck with the legacy applications, and then they just outsource them. So they re-platform them, but they're still using the mainframe. System performance optimizations. Most companies have a performance monitor, and I think performance monitors are mandatory. They're really good. I'm not going to mention any specific ones, but you know what I'm talking about. But system performance products monitors are products that are good for resolving those issues that go bump in the night. When there is an outage with a system, they're good for understanding how to get them back up so you can meet your SLAs. Longer term reporting, no, they're not quite as good, but a lot of companies now are looking at long-term reporting and the analytics and letting the data decide in which directions to go in. I'll come on to that in a minute. And application performance as well. Always got to look at the application, the performance of it, and how it's moving. All right, key drivers for IT organizations. I'm going to start in the bottom left hand or the middle of the screen. Data-driven decision or data-driven and agility. I always talk about this is data-driven decision making. Let the data make the direction, and companies that are doing this and using analytics are finding that they're much more successful and they're taking over the competition. A couple of examples there. If you look at here in America, basketball is very, very popular. And a lot of the basketball teams use analytics on their players. They look at their players to how many passes they make, how far they run during a game, where they throw. And the Houston Rockets, excuse me, and I'm not a basketball fan, the Houston Rockets are really big into this. And they did an analytics study where they looked at, should we look for players that primarily throw for 3 points or for 2 points? And they chose the 3-point option. And it's one of the reasons why they have been more successful in the last 5 or 6 years. Also, with data-driven agility and using analytics, we need to think about the customers. How often do we go, we buy something, or we travel, or we do something, and we get a survey afterwards? The vendors are very keen to know what you thought about your experience if you use their website, whether it's for travel or purchase or anything. So they are becoming very, very customer-centric companies because they know that if you log on to an account, doesn't matter what it is, banking or purchasing something, if you can't get what you want, you'll go somewhere else. And it's very easy, quick and simple to do that. And they'll probably lose your business forever. So you take this customer-centric focus, you talk about the data-driven agility, and let the data do the intelligence. And it all wraps up into business convergence. And I actually looked at, when I saw this, I thought, what is business convergence? So I did some research on it. And it really talks about, let's have a unified message, a merging of technologies. Okay, so it doesn't matter what the platform is. We're all doing it. Put the customer first. All right, so it's a reject a silo approach. We are all one. As I always like to say, it's like, okay, we're all singing from the same hymn book. All right, on this point, I'm now going to pass over to Caroline. Caroline, are you there?
Yeah, here I am. Thanks a lot. So,
all right, over to you.
Thank you. So I propose now to explore the different paths, force at least, that should bring your mainframe into the 21st century. I would like to start with in this journey with the observability and analytics path. This is a magic couple. This is an opportunity for you to get the clear picture of what your AT data tells you on your business and on the issues you're facing. So before it's impact your seriously your IT and your business, it's really good to have this big view. And with a search observability solution based on relevant dashboard in a quasi real time, you can easily understand what's going on and you're able to react, manage, and efficiently prevent the events. So now we'll go to the second path with the DevOps and capacity automation. This one we know it very well because we are pioneer in this dynamics of capping, and Zetali knows perfectly what are the great benefits you can have with the streaming and secure production of your how to secure your production workload. Sorry about. With a detailed visibility of your mainframe activity and cost, you will have the keys to align your AT data with your business calendar and, of course, your budget. On the following path, which is the third one, and I'm happy to present the FinOps and cost control because this is really key in any strategy. So based on the FinOps definitions that you probably all know, it's allow you to better understand and manage your mainframe cost. Originally, it was for the cloud, but it's perfectly fitting with the mainframe. But without the right KPIs to measure the value of your business, you won't get any significant metrics. So that's why it's a necessity to control your cost and keep track on your budget. Not only because you need to know you need to have a better understanding of your cost structure and with shareable explanation to justify any extra costs or better incomes for your contracts negotiation. And you offer and also to offer the ability to reduce the cost and find new opportunity in that direction. This is a kind of a dream, isn't it? And the fourth path is probably the most creative one. It's the PredOps and resource planning. We were pioneer in the previous one, and we are creative in buzzword for this one. PredOps is a contraction of predictive analytics, and this is a new word that is answering perfectly to our vision on how to evaluate and simulate any resources for the next and project them in the next 3 years. The PredOps highlights is mainly to have ability to satisfy and bring the budget and contractual aspect as the first level. So you can decide easily with all the information you need. So this is a natural link for me to what was just presented before, and to see you how we support our customer to achieve their goal. And now you can see what the platform is. So we can start with, of course, the data. We are having a lot of data, and those data, we are collecting them. So it could be APIs, SMF, logs, SRT or connectors, or any other data in the near future. So we collect them, and Brian,
Sorry.
there is something wrong.
Can you still see my screen?
Yeah, but nothing happened.
Oh,
That's the live.
it's
The show
happening
is
at.
going on.
Excuse us, folks. Houston, we have a problem.
So we don't want to show our super platform.
It's going. It's going here.
So
I was able to see the build out.
I hope people can, because I can't, but I know how it is. So we can enrich, this information collected, we can enrich them, we can enrich it, through our Zetali data platform. And then you're able to see perfectly how to report, to explore and predict the different how okay.
All right, can you see it now?
No, still not, but I hope people can. So in case, can you go to the next slide? Because I can speak about what I'm telling now through the next one.
The Zetali data platform apps view. Okay. Do you want me to take over?
Yeah, if you can.
Cool. All right. Let me hang on. Sorry, folks. These things happen. As Caroline was saying, you can enrich the Zetali data platform, and by collecting all of the information, the APIs, the SNF, etc., you can report, understand what's going on with your analytics, explore the data, find out, who is doing what, predictive analysis, and then you can expose any of the problems that you have out there. We'll get this right in a sec. So with Zetali built in, so it comes back down to the observability, IT ops, FinOps, and predictive ops. And FinOps is one of my favorites because it is one of those things that is a non-Z process, but it is being adopted in the mainframe industry. And connecting any apps, the API observability, IT ops, FinOps, and predictive ops. All right, so build your success with the Zetali data platform. This is our vision. So if you actually look from an application point of view, again, we can see the data. You've got the Zetali products, ZAC and ZSA, and that brings you in through collecting the data with those into the My Zetali. And then you have the products that ZSI for analytics, ZCC cost control, to understand who is causing what, ZDE, Data Explorer, where you understand the data itself, ZRP, resource planning, where we do our capacity planning, and ZXX, highly top secret, but it's going to be all about API management. All right, you back, Caroline?
I'm still there, but I can't see the screen. That's a big issue.
Right. So let me continue. The business context. The first area we've got here is cost management. This is really about aligning your IT data with your cost of business, from your human resources to especially with billing control. And that's really key because everybody is very, very, very concerned about that. And of course, chargeback. I'm a big fan of chargeback because then that keeps business units, etc., people accountable for what they charge. Resource optimization, who is using what resources? And again, we need to be able to identify that. And again, it comes back to cost management. Who's using the resources? What charges? Contract negotiation, we've already touched on this, but if you are increasing your portfolio, your data on the mainframe, and consider, companies say to me, oh, no, we're not increasing our mainframe, but look at the number of MSUs, look at the performance benefits by moving from, say, a Z13 to a 14 to a 15 and to a 16. So a lot of companies are increasing their footprint. So you do need to make sure that you get your billing correct, with your data correct, with what you're running, the workloads and the mainframe. Prevent. We want to be proactive here. so that when there are any issues or deviations, we can predict them. Let's start with deviations, because this is one, this is really about the analytics. I mentioned earlier that performance monitors are really good at solving issues that go bump in the night. But what they're not quite as good at is long-term reporting on whether it's a KICS transaction or an application. And typically problems can usually be proactively identified before they happen, because problems, not many things just do break in the middle of the night. The analogy I'll use is if you've got a car, which most people here have, you've got a petrol tank or a gas tank that does 300 miles or 400 miles before it you have to refill it, and somebody's bound to say, well, I've got a Tesla, so I don't need to do that, but we'll ignore you. If you got 300 miles to the tank and then it's 280, 260, 240, 230, 220, what is going on? So, problems typically the problems occur slowly. And if you can start reporting on that, you can be very proactive, reduce a lot of the outages, and again, stop the issues. Align with the business lines, IT governance, and agility. We have to align with the business. Go back, I've been in this industry 30 plus years. And when I first started, it was a case of IT would tell the business what it could deliver. Now, and I believe rightly so, the business tells IT what it wants. If the IT can't deliver, the business will go somewhere else. They have a choice. So again, we've got to be agile, and we've got to align with the business. And traceability, compliance, and audit. Of course, a lot of companies are now international organizations, and there are different rules all over the world. So we need to be compliant with those. Obviously here in the US, and obviously for audit purposes. So you need to be able to track what has gone on, what is the historical type of information, not only for say your CICS or your DB2 transactions, but also for different types of workload, your batch workload, etc. The benefits to your organization: gain visibility into your system activity. I'm a great believer in, if you can't measure it, you cannot manage it. So you've got to be able to see what is going on with every facet of your organization. And now that the mainframe is, just or the Z server, let's call it that, the Z server is now just another tool in the toolbox for the business. You've got to make sure that the mainframe is squeaky clean, in the sense that it works and you're getting every efficiency out of it possibly. So understand what it is doing. Understand the general organization and dependencies of your infrastructure. Now, again, because the gates are now open, and they've been open for a while, the mainframe is sending data to other platforms, and it's also receiving data from other platforms. So you need to understand the dependencies of within the infrastructure. The example we'll use here is, go back 20 years, 25, 30 years, you'd go to an ATM, you'd try and draw some money out, you'd get some cash. How many layers did that go through then? 3, maybe 4. Nowadays, when you do that, it can probably go through 10 or 12 layers in different cities in different countries. I was in Europe just recently, and I used all my credit cards, absolutely no problem at all. And that all came back to wherever they were in the world. Absolutely super. Connect technical data to its business contacts. And this is really about accountability, understanding where, what is going on with our organization, and what part of the business is using it. For example, let's say we've got some sales statistics. Can we tie that in with, say, KICS transactions? How many are they using? And is there a cost associated with it? And if there is, do we use chargeback? And at the end of the day, it's tracking critical KPIs. and stop any anomalies. As I said in my example of a petrol tank or a gas tank, if things are starting to degrade, then we need to keep on top of it. Some of the companies that use some of our solutions all over the world. And at that point, I would like to thank you very, very much for your time on behalf of Zitali and Caroline and myself.
So thank you again for presenting. You are correct. We are getting back on track, and we have about 7 or 8 minutes for questions. So just as a reminder to all of the attendees, if you have any questions, you can private message them to any of us, and we can ask them. You can post them in the chat, or you can send them as a message through Socio, however you would like to do that. And I do have some that I'm going to start with while we wait to see if any others come in. And Brian, we have a question about reporting. So do your users send reports to the business units? And if yes, what types of reports?
Yeah, they do. One of the, again, it's this breaking down the barriers. The business units like to know what resources they're using, what type of response they're getting, their workload, what type of priority it is. And if there are problems, they like to know about it. So what tends to happen is that it's almost a self-serve. They set up themselves up. They are set up with a profile, so they can only see, performance, chargeback, costing for only their workload, and that just happens automatically. And they can have it once a day, once every hour, as often as they really like. And typically, most companies do. Okay, let's see what happened last night. Let's get an understanding what resources, and obviously for things like chargeback. And just as another company that we're just working with that are doing this, they've actually taken the data from the mainframe, and they actually have a billing system that runs off the mainframe. So they export the data out of our solution into the billing system, and it works almost flawlessly. Well, I'd say it does work flawlessly. Any other questions?
I have one that came through in chat. I'm going to put it up here on the screen. And the question is, how does the platform integrate unstructured data with structured data?
Okay. I cannot answer that one. I won't try and sweet talk you or say anything. I don't know, but I will find out. And as long as I've got your email address, I will get an answer for you. Bear with me. I will get back to you on that one. All right. I want a technical person to answer that.
Okay, so the next question is, we have a mainframe chargeback system that is being retired or sunsetted that uses SMF records. How can Zetali help?
Okay. One of the components is that we talked about is a chargeback system for mainframe applications and systems. Now, there are several chargeback systems on the mainframe that are very, let's say, I'm not going to knock them, but they're very heavy resource orientated. We can help you replace that particular system, certainly on the data collection, so that your footprint's a lot less and you've got a very easy to understand GUI. So yes, we do have that through one of our solutions called Ztally Cost Control. But look,
I don't know, Brian, if you have finished, because I just get the answer for Stefan.
okay.
So yes, we are able to use structured and unstructured data.
Okay. We'll get a full, complete how it integrates as well, Stefan. All right. Okay.
All right, so we have time for just one more question that we'll go over. Are the products integrated and or can they run individually?
The products can run independently, but they are integrated. So if you, for example, you could use just one of the products, or you could use all four of them. And the beauty of when you use all four of them, if they use the same SMF records, they don't do double collection. They'll just use the same SMF records and the same SMF data where applicable. So obviously that lowers the footprint. Now that depends again. Typically we'll collect the data and we'll do one of two things. We'll either send it offline to another platform, or we'll put it into a container on the mainframe, which is really good, whether it's Linux or any of those types of things. So yeah, so it works really well. So it's low overhead.
We actually have a question that I think kind of goes along with that. Stephen also asked, how do you integrate them?
They share through a common database. And depending on where you have that database, it will integrate with each of the independent solutions. You could have it in the cloud, you could have it on another platform, you could have it on a ZCX container.
Okay, great.
Stephen, we'll come back to you with that question. And I think we probably need to sit down and just go through some of these in a more technical, detailed session, if that's okay.